Hey kitchen people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alyssa. I am the owner and creator of the Floral Apron blog. Today I'm here to show you how to make this pesto parmesan starbread. It is an enriched dough layered with pesto and parmesan, perfect for any of your holiday gatherings because it feeds 17, and just look at how fun it is. So we're gonna make this today. I promise it is not as difficult as it looks, and it is so fun to make. Let's get started. Before we start, I am taking this cardigan off because I absolutely hate mixing up dough with long sleeves, and I promise you, if it can get in my sleeves, it will. So give me a second. Now that I am decardiganed, we are going to be making an enriched dough for this starbread. I mix in half a cup of really hot water with half a cup of cold milk to get a really nice lukewarm liquid. You don't want your yeast to be in water that's too hot because that will kill the yeast. You don't want it to be in water that's too cold because then it won't prove quite as well. So I like to get a nice 110 degrees. This works out pretty well. I put my yeast in the bowl first, followed by my water milk mixture. It's smelling yeasty already. Typically, I like to prove my yeast before I have anything else laid out because that is 5 minutes of time that I can get all of my other ingredients ready that I don't have to sit here and wait for yeast to prove. I like to throw pretty much everything in the bowl at once, save for my fillings, which are over here. That way I just can mix everything one and done. We are going to start by adding our olive oil. Gotta get every last drop. My flour. 1 egg, and 1 teaspoon of salt. That doesn't want to sprinkle. These are our fillings. We'll get to them in a little bit, but for now, set them aside. This egg is going to be our egg wash, so you can just put them in the fridge for now. So when I am mixing together dough, I like using this, I think, dough mixer, flexible bench scraper for this. This one is by KitchenAid. I'll link it in the description box in case you're interested. And I just go on the sides and start mixing together my dough. You can use your hands, but I don't like doing that at this point because there's just so much flour and liquid that's not mixed together. That's not my cup of tea. You can use a wooden spoon. Sometimes those are a little bit harder to clean off because the dough sticks to the wood. Then once we're at this point where it's pretty shaggy but it's holding together, we can turn it out onto a countertop and start kneading it. I like still using this because I can get up underneath it. The dough, I do not like kneading with my ring. We're just gonna start kneading this, and it's really sticky to begin with. This is why I did not want to wear long sleeves. I knead this for 6 to 8 minutes. Once you continue kneading it, it will tighten up and it will form a really nice tight ball. If you don't want to knead by hand, you can use a mixer with the dough hook. If there's any that's still left on the counter, I like to scrape it back into the dough. We're already seeing some gluten development because it's not sticking to my hands nearly as much as it was, but we still need more. If you are looking at where this dough is ending up on my wrist, that is 100% in the long sleeve zone. So that is why I took off my cardigan. If you are new to kneading, I really just use the heel of my hand for the majority of it, and I push the bread against the side of the counter. It kind of follows me up, and then I just keep doing that over and over. Sometimes I just like playing with it. The texture of this dough has changed significantly since we started kneading it. I can do this and it doesn't leave any residue on my hands. It does stick to the counter, but it comes off pretty cleanly when I try to pull it off. That is just what gluten does for you. To test how developed my dough is, I take a pinch and I start, pinching the dough together and seeing how much resistance it gives. It's similar to the window pane test where you take a chunk off and you hold it between your fingers, and well, this doesn't really quite work because it doesn't stick to my fingers. It's still breaking fairly easily, so I'm gonna keep kneading it until it doesn't break quite as easily. Now I can stretch this pretty far and it's not breaking. it's getting a little bit translucent instead of breaking, so I know that the gluten has developed properly, and this is ready to prove for an hour or until doubled in size. I like to make it pretty before it goes in the bowl, so I just kind of fold everything to the bottom so that I have a nice crisp top. And then I place it back in the bowl that I mixed everything together in. Drop it in, cover with plastic wrap. Good enough. Once it has proved for about an hour at room temperature, we will roll it out and start shaping it into the starbread. Our dough has proved for about an hour. It is doubled in size, so we're ready to start shaping it. And I use this guy again to scrape him out of the bowl. Then I use the flat side of this to divide my dough into 4. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a fair approximation. The next part of this, we'll be using a lot of little tiny increments of olive oil, so I like to put just a pile on my counter. You can use something like a small prep bowl. I find it's easy to just set it on my counters. If you have grout, you'll probably want to use something like this. So I pour about a tablespoon just to get my fingers wet, and then I rub it all the way around the side of each ball of dough, just so that it won't stick to the counter. Do the same with this one. The most important part is to get the olive oil on the bottom where it's going to be in contact with the counter or whatever else. At this point, I like to make my egg wash, so I'm gonna take that egg out of the fridge and do that next. Egg wash is ready to go. I have my pesto and my cheese. Grab a pastry brush to have on hand because we will be using this quite a few times. The last step that is very important is preheat your oven. The last thing I need is a 2-inch measure. My Ateco cutter set is really perfect for this. I use it for a lot of things. The smallest in this set is 2 inches across, which is what we want the center star to be. It's got a fluted and a round side in case you want to use it for cookies and things. I use these all the time. I will link them in the description in case you're interested. I have all of my necessary ingredients and utensils out, so I'm ready to start shaping my dough. There's just something about rolling pins that I want to wave. Yeah, sorry you had to see that. Take one of our balls of dough here. Make sure you have plenty of room to roll these guys out. We don't want them very big, really 8, 9, maybe 10 inches, simply because you want them to fit on your pan. My pan is only 12 inches wide, and so if I make this 12 inches, there's not gonna be any room for it to prove. So I like making it around 10 inches just to account for a little bit extra stretching when we're shaping. I like to have a tape measure just handy. So I got this guy right here just to give me a general idea. It looks like I'm about 10 inches right now. Peel it slowly from the sides and then flop it back onto the counter until it's no longer sticking to the counter, and then transfer it quickly onto your sheet. Take your egg wash with your pastry brush and brush, go all the way to the edges. I do a very light coating so that the filling will stick and so that the next round of dough will stick as well. Then sprinkle on half of your cheese mixture. And this you want to keep about 1/2 inch on the border just to make sure that the dough will stick to the next round that's placed on top of it. Kind of like you're making a pizza, you want to leave room for a crust. My oven is preheated. Then we will take our next round and do the same. Roll it out. Because I have the olive oil in between the dough and the counter, I'm really not concerned about the dough sticking to the counter. This looks about my right size, so do the same. Pull up all the edges. The key to making these dough rounds stick to each other is making sure that you don't get any of the filling in between the dough, the egg, and the more dough. You just want it to be a little egg sandwich. a raw egg sandwich, so yummy. You can actually just stick the very bottom on and have it overlap a little bit, and then connect the top. You can see this is not perfect, but the dough will stretch. So if this is overhanging a little bit, I can push it back into the center, and I can use that to stretch it in another spot. And I'm pressing down where it meets the rest of the dough just to seal it. So stretch it just a little bit. I brushed off some of the Parmesan that was preventing me from sticking this here. And now I have all sides in contact. And you can see this air is popping up, which means I have a pretty good seal. Nothing is escaping. So that one is set. We will brush it with our egg wash. Again, all the way to the edges. I'm not using a whole bunch of force on this. I'm just brushing lightly. Then my pesto. So use the back of a spoon to spread it all around, leaving about 1/2 inch on the edges. This is my own pesto recipe. I have it available on my blog. I like not having a lot of extra olive oil in it for this specific purpose. If you are using a pesto with a lot of extra olive oil, it's going to be a little bit trickier to shape the starbread after we have all of the layers on. Use a pesto that doesn't have a lot of extra olive oil. You can add olive oil to the rest of your pesto after, but for this, it is really, really key that you don't have a whole lot of olive oil in it to begin with. Now that that is set, we are going to roll out one more ball of dough. Peel up all the edges, drag over, place on top, and seal. Brush with your egg wash. Sprinkle the remaining Parmesan in the center. Okay. Then take your remaining ball of dough. Ooh, that one I could peel up all in one. Okay, save this egg wash. We will use it after it is fully proofed, but for right now, I want all of this for shaping. I'm gonna take my 2-inch cutter, place it right in the center. I can stretch this out just a little bit if it's not 100% circular. That looks pretty good to me. Take a long paring knife that is very sharp. This will not work very well if you're using a dull knife. This is purely for reference. You don't want to press down on it because we want to keep this center part intact. Start by chopping in through all 4 layers on one side, and then do the same on the other, oiling the knife as needed in between cuts. You can move the parchment paper if you need a little bit more wiggle room. I like going a second time just to make sure I got through every layer. So now we start dividing these sections into halves. And then we have everything once more to make 16 pieces. This is where it gets a little bit tricky because they are getting to be really small slices. This is where it gets tricky. Remove your center holder. We're done with this now. I always end up going on my tiptoes for this. It's not necessary, it's just a habit I have, I guess. I want a little bit more height. Take 2 pieces that are right next to each other, get under all of the layers. The bottom ones may have shrunken, so it might take a little pulling. Pull them all out so they're about the same size. Now that my fingers are oiled, I'm gonna take 2 that are right next to each other, there are my tiptoes, and flip them inside. 2, 3, and I press these edges together They will probably come undone, but that's okay. So that is one. Rotate so that it's easy for you to get under the next ones. Keep your knife on hand so that you can slice them easily. Tiptoes. Flip in. Oop, he's stuck. Okay, no longer. 1, 2, 3. If you are feeling adventurous, you can do 4 twists. I did that on the last bake I did and it looked really good. 3 also turns out just as good. Really depends on how much effort you want to put in. You can point the edges of these a little bit more. You can tuck these sides under for more of a snowflake look, which that sounds pretty fun to me, so I'm gonna do that quick. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, but I have a little bit of olive oil seeping through here. I have used my pesto with a little bit more olive oil, and this is still 100% doable. It's just a little bit slipperier and a little bit trickier. We will let this sit for 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what the temperature of your house is like, so that it gets a little bit puffy, and then we'll put it in the oven. While we are waiting for this to proof, I am going to clean up my kitchen a little bit and do up all the dishes. That way you know exactly what to expect when you make this at home in your kitchen. I absolutely love this time of year. Even dishes can't get me down. Okay, that was a lie. I still don't really like dishes, but if I'm making something cute like my starbread, they don't make me quite as upset. I like to rate all of my recipes on a scale of 1 to 5 for ease of cleanup. This recipe is a 3. Growing up, my family had quite a few Christmas traditions, and my husband and I are in our 2nd year of marriage, so we are still working to make our own Christmas tradition. I think this starbread could be a contender because it is so good, but at the same time, I would make this all year round. Now that my husband and I have purchased our own house, we have started the Christmas light tradition. We made our very own Christmas lights this year, put everything together, and that was a really fun project. So far, my favorite tradition has been walking our Christmas tree from the grocery store to our house since we live so close. But I would love to hear your family holiday traditions. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite tradition is, and who knows, maybe we can incorporate that into our little family traditions. I did forget to cover this with plastic wrap. If you're making it at home, please cover it just to make sure it doesn't dry out. It's only proving for 20-30 minutes, so it shouldn't make too much of a difference, but it just keeps all of the moisture in. Take your remaining egg wash and start brushing it on. To keep everything looking as neat as possible, go with the direction of the twist. So I know that I twisted inward on this, so I'm brushing inward here. And then on the other side, I brush in the opposite direction. This just makes sure that you're not spreading pesto across the whole thing, and it keeps it looking really nice and neat. Looks like I got everything pretty well. So we are ready to put this guy in the oven, and we will take him out in 20 minutes and show you what he looks like then. I took a peek and it looks really good, so I'm really excited to pull this out. Doesn't it look so yummy? Oh man. Oh my goodness. You can see some of these did pull apart like I thought they would, but I love the way that they look when they have just started to pull away. And it smells so good. Oh man. And it's perfectly browned because of this egg wash. This also helps give it a little bit of a crunch. Now I have to wait for it to cool to break into it. I'm gonna speed up the cooling process by putting it on a cooling rack so that I can dig into this bad boy sooner. Normally I would say wait for this to cool for a little bit longer, but if you have watched my channel at all, you know that I hate waiting for something to cool before I taste it. So, in true Alyssa fashion, I'm gonna rip in. Oh, can you see that? Ooh, that was still very hot. This just rips apart. I didn't wait for it to cool the whole way, so it's a little bit more tender than it should be when you are eating it at home, but I'm just so excited. Yes. Ooh, this is very good bread. You should still be able to see this steaming. Let me try to put it back where it belongs. So you can pull this apart, and it pulls apart so easily. And this bread is really moist. And then it looks like that. Okay, yeah, this is A+ bread. The pesto is just strong enough, it's not overpowering. You get a lot of that Parmesan flavor in too. And there's also a really nice crunch on the bottom and the top from that egg wash. It just pulls right apart. I said that this has 17 servings. This one little piece is technically 1 serving, but I don't blame you if you only make it 8 servings. And then you can see this is where one of the Parmesan layers is. There really aren't enough words to describe just how good this pesto Parmesan starbread is, so I really hope you try it at home. That way you can be speechless with me. The full recipe is available on my blog at floralapron.com, along with the pesto recipe that I used inside of it. I wish you a very happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, and please let me know your family traditions because I would love to include them in our traditions this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!